what's your thoughts on switching up your routine depending on what point you are in your menstrual cycle?
100% you should.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you got phases in your menstrual cycle. So I think the first one's the follicular phase.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you got the luteal phase.
Yeah.
So the first 2 weeks of a woman's menstrual cycle is when they're at their strongest.
Yeah, because the testosterone's like...
Well, the spike's actually on like the 14th day, which is
Yeah.
why they get really horny on halfway through the cycle. But the first 2 weeks is when they're at the strongest, when they're at the best.
Yeah.
So having a woman in a calorie deficit then, if her aim is to lose fat, is the optimal time, obviously trying to build muscle. But in the third and fourth week, women, their hormones change.
Yeah.
And they're not as strong, but their metabolic rate actually increases. I think it's between 100 and 300 calories per day.
Yeah.
So if you've got a woman who is in a deficit and then she gets to her third week, she's in a greater deficit.
Yeah.
So then she's actually more hungry.
Yeah.
So a good thing to do, your kindness then, is obviously introduce a little bit of fruit every few hours or whatever.
And more protein as well?
Protein, 100%, and the training.
Counteract those, because that's why they get the cravings, right?
Yeah. But also their strength obviously reduce, and they're more susceptible to getting injured and stuff like that. So you don't really want to be programming a woman into be doing deadlifts on her third week and stuff like that. It's just not a great idea. Do you know what I mean? So you definitely maybe go into more like machines, things like that, reduce the tempo, and put them, not well with my clients, I put them back on a maintenance diet on the week 3 and 4, so that they're not in a greater deficit.
Yeah.
And when you're doing their measurements and stuff like that, you need to do them on women. When women do their measurements, they do week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they get a different view.
Yeah, of course.
And then they get so worked up in the head, and they're kicking off, and they're disappointed. But it's not a true reflection of what's happening.
Yeah, because the hormones are constantly fluctuating.
So you need to do it on week 1 of your menstrual cycle, and then the following month, week 1, and then week 2, and so on. You'll get a true reflection of what's happening with the body. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So 100%, you should definitely change up your training
Yeah.
to go in line with where you are in your cycle. But the problem is, a lot of women don't actually know where their cycle is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's why they need to keep a diary, don't they?
Yeah, they should.
It's very
They should
important
definitely
to do
understand
that.
where they are.
Yeah.
And as a-
and
Flow
as
an app now, I was going to say.
And as a PT,
Yeah, an
you
app
should
in it.
be,
Flow
you
app.
should know that, so you can then do that.
Yeah, every PT should know that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean, especially
He knows all about it, you don't
women.
wanna say
Do you
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dre wants to say something else about it.
So, I mean, ladies...
Anisha,
that
thank
was-
you for the answer, by the way.
Yeah. No, thank you, Paul. I think that's really interesting.
thanks,
If there
Paul.
are any women out
I
there
learned a lot there.
who would like to
Did you really, or you said
speak...
that?
No, seriously. It's
No,
very,
yeah, seriously.
It's very important. And I think if there's any women out there that would like to speak to Paul a bit more about programming around their menstrual cycle and maybe even their menopause, do get in touch, because Paul is a PT at Fitness
You were
Factory
telling me
as
your